Welcome to Doodle Healing the Warrior Way podcast, where your life is your masterpiece. I'm Cindy Bayless, your Doodle Warrior Coach, here to help you turn self-doubt into unshakable confidence, rediscover your purpose, and create a life you can't wait to wake up to. Grab your favorite pen and let's doodle your way to clarity, joy, and freedom, one episode at a time. Today, I'm sharing 3 ideas to help you achieve your New Year's resolutions faster and easier than ever before, even when life gets messy. These ideas are designed to keep you moving towards your goal, even when life doesn't cooperate. And let's be honest, it rarely does. Every January 1st, I wake up hopeful, confident, excited, and motivated. I don't ease into the new year. I step into it because I've been thinking about what I want and preparing for it for weeks already. I know what I want to work on and what matters to me, and I'm ready to get moving. And then life happens. Someone calls for help. A mistake needs to be fixed. A situation comes up that needs my attention right now. Things take longer than expected. I pause what I'm doing because that's what makes sense in that moment. I fully plan to come back to my goal. Then I look up and realize that more time has passed than I realized. Sometimes it's days, sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's even months. And that's the point where I used to decide I was too far behind. And once I decided that, I'd give up. I didn't give up in a dramatic way. I didn't announce it or make a big decision. I just quietly stopped trying and move on to the next thing, while telling myself I'd try again later. For a long time, when life interrupted my goals, I didn't see it as a pause. I saw it as a problem. I noticed that a lot of time had passed, and I'd tell myself I'd already messed it all up. That if I really wanted this, I would have stopped in the first place. This way of thinking takes me back to when I was about 14 and learning to ski. My uncle learned to ski while I was living with their family, and he loved it so much that he decided everyone should learn. So we drove for hours to get to the ski resort. My aunt and uncle had bought 3-day lift tickets and booked motel rooms for 3 nights. I was so excited. It felt like a real adventure. My oldest cousin, 16 at the time, introduced me to the bunny hill. If you've never skied, the bunny hill is the beginner's start. You grab onto these handles that are hooked to a rope, and it pulls you all the way up this slightly sloping hill. And then you get a ski back down so you can learn without getting hurt or interrupting other skiers. It's supposed to be easy. Unfortunately, I was not very good at it. Every time I grabbed the bunny hill lift handle, it would jerk my arms, I'd lose my footing, and I'd land hard on the ground every single time. I was cold, I was embarrassed, and I was covered in snow. My cousin and I spent most of the morning just trying to get me up the hill. Eventually, my cousin decided to try something new. So he taught me how to sidestep up the hill so I could at least ski down a little bit. That still didn't work very well because I couldn't control those skis. He was incredibly patient for a 16-year-old. Eventually, he got me to the top without using the lift handles. But when I went down, I couldn't stop. Snow plowing didn't work for me. I just tumbled down the hill in a big snowball mess. And by the end of that day, I was exhausted and done. I'm sure I was a sight. My goggles were caked in snow. I was tired, cold, frustrated, and just didn't care anymore. I wanted to go home. But the next morning, I woke up sore from head to toe, and I didn't want to move. I just wanted to stay in bed. Every single muscle hurt. There is no way I can do this again today. I just wanted to stay in bed. But my cousin reminded me that the lift tickets were already bought and paid for. So I dragged myself out of bed. We went back out to try again. And this time my cousin took me on an easy intermediate slope. I probably shouldn't have been there because I really didn't know how to ski yet, but the chairlift alone felt like progress. I got up the mountain easily. I could sit, I could breathe, I could look at the surroundings instead of bracing myself for the next time I had to grab the handle on the bunny hill rope. I still fell throughout the day. I crashed, I rolled down the mountain, I struggled. I was a complete mess. I spent a lot of time sitting in the snow, catching my breath, getting back up, cleaning my goggles, and trying again. But by the end of the second day, I could tell that I was learning. I had started to catch on to some of the nuances and the balancing of skiing. By the third day, as it started, I could ski down some of the easy slopes all on my own. I was excited that I had made this progress. I could never have learned to ski by just thinking about it, by reading the books, by watching videos. I had to be on the mountain, falling down, getting back up, and trying again. And as I've gotten older, being seen trying something new feels harder. About looking dumb, I worry about messing it up. I worry about just being seen making mistakes. It reminds me of a speech Theodore Roosevelt said about the arena. The credit doesn't belong to the people watching from the sidelines. It belongs to the person who actually steps in the arena and tries. Waiting keeps you on the sidelines, but nothing grows there. What finally helped me stop quitting on myself was changing how I thought about time. I stopped trying to plan a whole year at once and started working in 90-day goals. Year felt way too big, too far away, and too easy for me to get distracted along the way. 90 days, 12 weeks, feels close enough to stay engaged. I can see progress while I'm working on the goal. There's science behind this. Our brains respond better to short-term time frames. When we see progress, we stay engaged. When the finish line is too far away, it's easier to cut. It's easier to disengage because we believe we will never get to the finish line. Another thing I noticed is that cut. Another thing I noticed is that 90-day goals makes it easier to keep going when life interrupts us. If you lose a week inside of a year, there's no motivation to quickly get back on track. Last year, during my third quarter, I set several 90-day goals. Last year, during the third quarter, I set a 90-day goal focused on creating systems in my life and business. Creating systems made sense. But once I started working on my uh, but once I started working on my 90-day goal, it became clear that creating systems in my life made everything so much easier and I saved so much time. That's one of the things I love about working in 90-day cycles. They don't just show you what you want, they show you what's getting in the way. Once I started working on 90-day goals, I also noticed life still happens. The difference is what I do next. When life interrupts me, I don't decide what it means. I don't decide I'm behind. I don't wait for a clean restart. I just begin again. I can begin again today. It can be later this afternoon. It can be 5 minutes from now. It doesn't matter. This is the same way meditation works. Your mind wanders. You notice it wandered and you come back. You don't quit. You don't judge yourself. You just begin again. Beginning again is just that. Begin again. The third thing that made the biggest difference was learning how to support myself. Some things were simply harder than they needed to be. When I started paying attention to where there was friction in my life, one of the clearest examples was in filming my podcast. It took me way too long to set up the lighting, to set up my camera and lighting. So I fixed it. I bought and returned so many pieces of equipment until I got it just right. I adjusted until it worked better, and I kept adjusting until it worked the way I wanted it to. And now when I want to film, I walk in, turn on my lights, and start. Systems are so important, they remove the mental load of getting started. When the next step is obvious, it's easier to stay in action when you already have a system. That matters even more when you're carrying more responsibility and more interruptions in your life. Inside the Believe in You 90-day planner, the steps toward your goals are designed to change all that. Here's a bonus tip. When you set up a 90-day goal, write out steps so that you can know what to do. The key is to continue to adjust those steps every single week because you're going to get things done early or have things later. Remember or find new steps that you need to include in your plan. So don't get too tightly set in setting up your 90-day goal plan. 90-day goals give you a clear time frame to work within. Beginning again keeps you moving even when things get messy. And systems make it easier to stay in action. That's how confidence grows. This is your moment. There's more life ahead of you, more joy, more purpose, more growth. Your life and your adventure are not over. Stop waiting to be ready. Need some help creating your goals this year? Book a free call. The link is in the show notes below, and let's get started. Thanks for listening to Doodle Healing the Warrior Way podcast, where your life is your masterpiece. If today's episode inspired you, make sure to subscribe and share it with a friend who needs a little encouragement. Want more? Grab my free Doodle Your Vision Board guide. The link is in the description below. Remember, you are the warrior of your story. Your life, your masterpiece.